Unacademy. Let's crack it.
Hi. Yeah. So Arjun is here. Hi, Arjun.
Hey.
Hey. So yeah, I think like some people are still joining. So maybe we'll wait for another couple of minutes before we start the session.
Sure. Sounds good.
So for those of you who have already joined, like, can you guys quickly fill out a poll that how many of you are college students, and so I'll just create a poll. So everybody who's in college, can you guys give a thumbs up? Just give a thumbs up if you are a college student. And how many of you are school students? Like, is there anyone who is in school right now? Like, can you just type in comment if you're in school? If you're a school student. So we had a few sessions like scheduled for the day today. I think we had a introductory session which I took on like roadmap to CP, and then we had a few more sessions. Okay, no worries. Yeah, I think like we'll also cover some interesting things in today's session. But yeah, so also guys, like I mean, those of you who you are joining, it would be nice if you guys can say type in comments and be a little interactive, because this is supposed to be an AMA session. So we would really like to interact with all of you and get to know you better, and also maybe answer questions which you might have. I think Arjun is also monitoring the YouTube chat. Arjun, are there any responses on YouTube?
Yeah. There's one person from third year.
Okay, nice. Okay, great. I guess like we can also get started with the few slides we have.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first question I think which I would have asked if I would have been in your place is that why should you guys even be listening to us? Like, who are we, and why should you be listening to this session? So to give a brief introduction, like both of us are two times ICBC World finalists, and both of us have been trainers for the Indian IOI team, and we've also been trainers at multiple national level training camps. Like maybe like Arjun, like you can tell a bit more about your background, like since you are also senior to me.
Sure. So I passed out of my undergrad in 2013, and so my ICPC years were in IOTC twice, and since I graduated from CMI, and CMI is kind of the main place where the Informatics Olympiad is centered around, I've been involved with organizing the Informatics Olympiad as well, mainly from 2014 till mostly last year. This year, I'm not that much involved in it, but yeah, over the last 5-6 years, I've been to every IOATC, and yeah, that's always a great place to be. And yeah, IPC camps, multiple camps are geared up, some amazing educators, yeah, including Tanuj. Yeah, that's on definitely a much higher level than even IOATC, which is great.
Yeah. So like talking about like Arjun's introduction, like I clearly remember. So I was in my first year, I think. Oh no, sorry. Like I was in my second year in 2015, and I was shortlisted for this like summer camp organized by Amrita in 2015. And Arjun was a trainer at that camp. Like I was a complete noob. I had absolutely like I had just started programming, and I was like he taught DP optimizations, and I think it was an amazing experience to learn that topic from him. Like I was, I think, almost immediately a fan, and like since since then, I think like I did some practice, like I improved a bit, and starting 2016, I was fortunate enough to be a trainer along with him on the Indian programming camps that we organized. So yeah, I think it's been a long journey, and I think Arjun has played a really influential role in my personal life as well. Like in my in my personal career, like I think like I got a lot of motivation for to continue practicing for ICPC like after attending that camp in 2015. So yeah.
The one motivation which I'd like to take, that I think I'm most proud of, is your team name, which I think is because I said you were too weak to throw some point.
Yeah.
I should put that in on my CV at some point, that I inspired the team name of Triple Team Hyderabad at some point.
Nice. Yeah, I think we'll come to that story. Like I think we have a slide on too weak, too slow. But yeah, so like both of us, I think have some experience like doing competitive programming. We've been to world finals, we've been trainers for the Indian team for IOI, and yeah, I think like one common thing among both of us is that we both are very passionate about this. Like I think Arjun has been involved like full time with CodeChef like for a long time now. I've been like trying to contribute part time along with my regular job at Google. So yeah, I think like both of us have been very passionate about teaching and giving back to the community, and I think that is the primary reason why we are here. Uh, yeah,
So answering Nikhil's question, Tanuj went to IIIT Hyderabad, and I was in Chennai Mathematical Institute, CMI.
yeah. If anybody has any other questions, like they can type in the chat box.
Um,
Yeah,
I'm getting two messages saying that it's not audible on YouTube, but I see it being pretty decent on YouTube. So just maybe try refreshing if you have any issues on YouTube.
yeah. So on Unacademy, like there's a question: are any advanced data structures required to reach expert in code forces, or just basic DP graph and ad hoc is enough? Arjun, what do you think?
Um, I think even for expert, you probably need some more data structure that has knowledge of those things. But I think you should always aim step by step. And first, once you're comfortable enough with these basics, then there are definitely a plethora of advanced topics, which we'll also cover some of in the next slides.
Yeah. So to also answer that question, like I think you can reach like I'm sure there would be people who are expert on code forces and they don't know advanced data structures because they are very good at solving ad hoc problems or say DP problems, and therefore like they've done very well in a few contests where the problems were of their type. But I think in general, if you want to be consistently at expert level, you would need I think like some exposure to advanced data structures as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like a lot of you are asking, say okay, so there's also a question on which languages you guys begin with, like when you started competitive programming. So I think I started with C++.
Yeah, same. I do not know any language apart from C++.
Yeah, so I think most people use C++ for competitive programming. I think it is throughout the community. I think majority of the folks use C++. So if you're just starting out, I would recommend start with C++. Yeah, so like some of you are asking how can you start with competitive programming, and like you haven't studied anything till now, like what can you do? Yeah, Arjun, maybe you want to take this one.
Yeah, so I think you should go back and see Tanuj's roadmap for CP lecture, which he had today morning, which is there on YouTube. I'm sure he covers this very comprehensively. But in a nutshell, I would say that first become very comfortable with the language of your choice. Say it's C++. You don't need to go into the nitty-gritty details of things, but at least if I give you a simulation problem, you should be able to type it out and get the result in like a few minutes. So you should be that comfortable with the programming language, and then comes everything Algo and DS beyond that, which I think like it's kind of like knowledge and practice kind of go hand in hand. Take some topic, read about it, then take some problems and try it out. Then there are lots of roadmaps which you have, which like you start from starting searching, then basic data structures, DP, greedy algos. There's some things you can do parallel, things like that. But and of course, also definitely participate in as many contests as you can. There are a lot of easier contests coming up because we have many divisions in different platforms now. Definitely go. Don't be intimidated by contests, even though you're not able to solve more than say one or two problems. Still go look them up, try them in that time constraint. Then the next problem which you're not able to solve, try it out for a few hours. Read the editorial, go read the theory behind it if it's something new to you. And I think this upsolving is definitely a very crucial part of any journey in CP. Yeah, that'll be my. I think for beginners, I think that's a critical part.
Yeah, I think I think like you covered it very well. I think upsolving is the most important thing in my opinion, and I think finding good resources and like studying from good resources. I think like in today's world, I think like there's also this problem of having too many resources online. So you can end up searching for a resource for a day and still not be comfortable in finding the right one. So yeah, I think finding good resources is also a very important part of like preparing and improving yourself, because you want to spend less time searching for resources and more time actually reading and understanding the topics. Yeah, I think that's very important.
Yeah.
Okay. I think some of you have questions around INOI and ICO.
Sure. Yeah. So why is Python? So Siddhant wants to know why Python is not allowed at INOI. It's because IOI doesn't allow it. So IOI is the international level, and which is kind of the holy grail, which we aim for. So IOI used to support. I think it supported Python for 1 year in between, and even then it wasn't supported. They had some two levels of language. They call one primary language and one was like a secondary language. And Python even then was in like a kind of like a secondary level. And they said we don't guarantee that you can get a perfect score if you. Not all the problems can be solved with Python, simply because Python is slower, and they did not want to have time multipliers like we do in various online judges these days, because that brings in some more issues, and it was hard to it was hard to benchmark them and do things properly. So they said we'll not give you more time. So in which case it's just infeasible to use a language like Python and aim to get AC when people are using C++ or Java. So after some point, IOI just discontinued use Python, and which is why it's not allowed in INOI. But it's still allowed in ZCO because we just want to promote ICO amongst as many people as possible. So we don't want that to be a constraint. But the hope is if you know only Python, you get through ZCO. But again, ZCO is not happening this year because of COVID. ZIO happens. So in general, we want people to use, if you're knowledgeable only in C++ in Python, get through ZCO, and then you can use the next 1.5 months before INOI to
prepare
and learn C++. Yeah, which is not that hard, to be honest.
Yeah, I think so. There's another very interesting question that in your time, when there was a lot less content to learn, how did you read the theory of topics like graphs, segment trees, etc.? Yeah.
Okay. I wouldn't say there were not, even back then, there were good resources. Definitely, there were not these many YouTube tutorials or video tutorials or very structured things. You had to slightly search for them. But at least for me personally, I owe everything to Professor Madhavan. So Professor Madhavan is one of the main guys who takes care of IOITC. So even before IOITC, what he had done is he had prepared a set of notes, which is put up online, which is there in the IRCS website. So where they have like around a bunch of questions and they have solutions for those as well. And almost everything I learned for the first time by trying those problems. I didn't know any theory. I just read the problems and then read the solutions, and the solutions had the theory in them. Like it was like a proper editorial, right? An editorial which covers the theory as well. So most of my theory at the beginning was from that, and then I read CLRS, Introduction to Algorithms by Corman, Laces, and Wittgenstein. That was the only book I read. I mean, of course, I don't think anyone reads the book cover to cover. That's a proper.
Yeah, I think that's a very dense book. Yeah.
Yeah, very very dense book.
Yeah, I think for myself, like I would say that I think like of course I also learned most of the basic topics, like reading some editorials and like some blog posts on on Codeforces and other places. But like I think I've also spent a lot of time like reading accepted codes of top programmers for hard problems, and I think like that, like I owe a lot of the tricks that I know, especially for data structures and other topics where implementation can be really tricky, to this. Like I think I spent a lot of time like reading such tutorials, and like I remember, like I very clearly remember that in the 2015 camp, like which I told about, where like Arjun was also a trainer, like one of the students asked that can you guys teach us central decomposition? And I think like central decomposition was basically a term that time which came up on Peter's blog. So like Peter wrote a blog, like Peter Mitriev writes blogs regularly. Like he's a great like top programmer across the world, and he writes blogs regularly. So like he wrote a small one paragraph on centroid decomposition, like describing a problem that can be solved by like via centroid decomposition. And I think at that time, like most of the trainers also did not know that topic because it was very new. And I think, of course, like others also didn't know. So after that camp, I went back and I spent, I think, 2 weeks only on that one paragraph, trying to parse like what Peter is saying. And when I finally understood it, like I ended up writing the blog on centroid decomposition, which became very, very famous, I think, across India and across the world. So yeah, I think like it's been a long journey, and I think it has taken a lot of effort to kind of like learn some of these tricks and some of these niche topics, which I think is a lot easier now. I mean, given the resources which are available.
Yeah. The community is amazing when it comes to writing these different blog posts. I think in India, I think you were the first one to write. Anudeep also came after you, right? Anudeep and
No, I think like Anudeep was I think before me. Like he wrote on
HLD. I remember his HLD being super amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, probably there was this boom at around, I think around your time when there were lots of blog posts. It's amazing things. There were very, very few blog posts before then. At least almost nothing in the Indian scene, at least.
Yeah, I think very few.
Yeah, but now there are amazing people writing tons of amazing blogs, which is very nice.
Okay. So I think like this slide, for example, I think lays down the syllabus for IOI and ICO in general. Like maybe Arjun, you can quickly go over this.
Sure. Yeah. Maybe you can just open that link as well.
Okay. I'll have to present my screen. I think it's slightly tricky. But yeah.
No worries. So that is the official syllabus for ZCO, ZIO, and INOI. And I've just taken the main things and listed down here, which is basically sorting, searching, greedy algos, dynamic programming, and basic graph algos. There are some more like things like window sliding and prefix sums, which I would mostly put under sorting and searching itself. So these are what are mainly listed as the topics. And but again, when you go from ZCO to INOI, the difficulty increases substantially. And I think historically ZCO has almost never had graph problems. So it's also, if you're preparing for ICO, I think it's also good to go back and see past year problems to get an idea of what is generally asked. But there's of course no guarantee that the trend will continue, but it will give you a good idea of what to expect. And beyond that, when you go for IOETC and IOI, there are a lot more advanced topics which come into play. So some of them which we've listed here are like segment trees is, I think, one of the main topics which starts from IOETC level, and you almost always have some bunch of segment tree problems because it's so versatile and lots of interesting problems which depend on that. Computational geometry is its popularity kind of wanes and waxes over the years. There were some years in which we had multiple CompGeo problems, but I think now there are not so many. But yeah, it's like a seesawing topic. Persistent data structures and of course in graph algorithms there are loads of things which come beyond the basic things which you read at first. So some of the very few are just SEC. I mean, I would even put it under basic graphs, but yeah, SEC, spike connectivity, centroid decomposition, and HLD, as Tanuj was mentioning those things. Yeah, so I think that's mostly what I see your syllabus. So I think if you're starting out, I don't think you should be looking at the second point. You should only focus on the first point and just focus on very basic.
Okay, so like where were we? I think you were discussing the syllabus.
Yeah, the syllabus, right? Yeah, so I think that's so I think if you're a beginner, you should not be worrying about any of the advanced things. Just focus on basic sorting, searching. I think DP is one of the most crucial things you could have to learn for ZCO and ZIO, even for that matter. Graph algos even not so much, but you should definitely be familiar with it. I think sorting, searching, 3D, and DP are the main topics you need to be concentrating on right now.
Yeah, so I think there's a question that can you please explain the difference between ICO and IOI?
Correct. Yeah, okay. So IOI is International Olympiad in Informatics. That is the international level. That's the so every country sends 4 students to IOI. ICU is Indian Computing Olympiad. That is basically the process of selecting those 4 students who will represent India. So that consists of ZIO and ZCO, and then INOI, and then IOITC, and then basically the Indian team goes to IOI. So ICU is basically the Indian part of IOI. You could think of it that way.
Great. So now I think there are some questions around tips for maths for ICPC. So maybe we can also move on to the syllabus for ICPC and quickly discuss that. So like many people have questioned that, like, what is the syllabus for ICPC? The short answer is that it is infinite. Like there is no prescribed syllabus. I think like any algorithm, I think a lot of different tricks, a lot of different math algorithms, string algorithms, graphs, like a lot of things can come under these big headings. So for example, and in ICPC, like you are allowed to bring a 25-page printed notebook, and like the screenshot that you are seeing right now, like this was basically like the notebook for my team, which we took in 2018 World Finals, and the name of our team was Too Weak Too Slow. So there's an interesting story behind this name. I think in the previous year, in 2017 India regionals, my team was, I think, second in a particular regional, second or third in a particular regional, and Arjun pinged me saying that you guys were too weak and too slow. So because we could not come first, and I think in 2018, like we were rank 1 in all the 3 or 4 regionals in which we participated, and the team name that we decided to choose before the regionals was Too Weak Too Slow. So yeah, I think I owe this team name to Arjun.
And I owe it to Magnus Carlsen. I just stole it.
So yeah, like, can you please share the link of this notebook? Yes, like this notebook is in my Dropbox. Like maybe we'll share it later on some of the Discord groups or some other place, because I'll have to create the link right now. But yeah, I think like this was the notebook which we took. Like and note that like these are just the codes which I wanted there for reference. Apart from this, like there's a lot more which I was comfortable coding on the fly, so therefore I did not include in this notebook. So yeah, I think like the syllabus for ICPC is really vast, but the good thing is that like this is the notebook for the World Finals which we prepared. For the regional rounds and for the online rounds, like you don't need all of these topics. Like generally, the problems in regionals are comparatively easier. Like of course, obviously, but yeah, like there like there can always be a contest which has a problem on, say, a Zohr convolution or on like suffix automation, and then if you don't know these topics, it can be hard to crack those problems without having enough practice. So like I think only somebody who has like prepared for ICPC very seriously can actually cover a majority of these topics. I think most DSA courses won't even tell you the names of these topics, like let alone their theory and efficient implementations. So yeah.
Yeah, I think the point to note is that even not just ICPC World Finals, but even regionals and the online round don't have any prescribed syllabus, which is both a boon and a bane in a sense. But yeah, that's how it works.
Yeah. So some people are asking how to become 5-star at CodeChef in the first year of college. I think, yeah, I mean, there is no silver spoon. I think, like as I said, the most important part is to keep learning, new topics, to keep practicing. Like you cannot just watch videos and expect to become 5-star. You need to go and give contest and get a good rank to become 5-star. But I think like having the correct guidance, like learning the right topics and practicing the right problems can really help you accelerate that process from 4 years to maybe 1 year or 2 years. Yeah, so that is asking, did you get admission in a good college just because you were selected at IOI or ICPC? No, so I did not do IOI. Like I got admission into a college because of the JEE rank, and then I started preparing for ICPC. I think Arjun is stuck. Arjun, are you here? Okay. So some people are asking which is more difficult, IOI or ICPC. I think IOI is for school students, ICPC is for college students. Both of them have like a very high difficulty level if you talk about the World Finals. But their core structure is different. So in ICPC, you have 10 problems to be solved in 5 hours. And in IOI, you have 3 problems to be solved in 5 hours. But in IOI, you are also a single team, like a single person team, whereas in ICPC, you are a 3-member team. Okay. So in terms of caliber, I think UPSC, JEE or ICPC, I think all of them are of like very similar level, that like you need to practice, you need to have. The one difference in these different domains is that for JEE and for UPSC, like you have a lot more coaching available and a lot more correct training available. Whereas for like exams, like contests like ICPC, I think the training which Indian students receive is still very, very limited. And I think that is a big reason why say Russia and China have like 10 times or 20 times more red coders and like than India, and this is the reason why they do so well in the World Finals and IOI, because like I think they have a very, very well structured like training programs. Like they have regular programming camps. They have like training programs where the seniors, like the good senior members who have been to the World Finals themselves, come and teach the junior members, and they pass on a lot of the knowledge. I think like in India, that knowledge transfer is still something which is very limited to local groups. For example, I think like if I would have not been in IIIT, I don't think I would have like been able to go to the World Finals, for example, because like I was lucky in my first year to have third year seniors like who were there to guide me, and I think I tried to do a similar thing for my juniors. So I think like that is how it has been working in India so far, and therefore even if you see like which teams go to World Finals every year, you would see that most of the teams are from IITs and IIITs, because like they already have a very strong culture of this knowledge transfer. But I think now like using this whole effort, like we want to basically bring that like break that barrier of which college you belong to in order to have like in order to be able to do good at these programming competitions, and also like have a good career, because like doing well at these competitions can really impact how your career goes. Okay. So what is the minimum time required to prepare for IOI if you are a beginner? Arjun, I think you are probably the better person to answer this. Arjun, I think your voice is still breaking, Arjun. I think there's some connection issue. Yeah, but your voice is still breaking, at least to me.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, till then, like maybe I can answer some other questions. Like, do you have a Discord group? Yes. So we have Discord groups for all the batches and like and for all the plus users. So like basically, like if you enroll in a batch, like you get added to a Discord group where you can ask questions to TAs like one-on-one, and you can also interact with the educators. Yeah. Like because it takes a lot of effort to like hire TAs, like make sure that they are answering the questions and have like problem solving sessions, like and one-to-one support. Like these things are limited to the plus users. Okay. Like other questions? Arjun, are you back yet? I think Arjun is having an internet connection.
Am I audible now?
Yeah, I think it's better now.
Yeah. My bad.
No worries. Yeah. So like there's a question like waiting for you. So Siddharth is asking, what is the minimum time required to prepare for IOI if you are a beginner?
Again, so my question would be, my answer would be pretty much the same. If you're a beginner, I mean, it's always good to be ambitious and have your goal as getting to IOI. But I think when you're concretely preparing, it's always good to have short-term goals. For now, figure out how you'll clear ZCO or ZIO. Then set your sights on INOI, and then on IOETC, and then on IOI. So don't. It might be a bit too intimidating to start out right away and figure out how to get to IOI. So do it step by step. So and each step is not that hard, right? And cumulatively, at the end of the journey, you'll be pretty good, and you'll be able to hopefully crack IOI as well. right? So set your sights on ZCO, see what all topics are needed for it.
I think, yeah, there was again some issue. Sorry. Yeah, you're back, Arjun.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. So set your sights on ZCO, read old question papers, practice all of them. There are lots of communities around which can help you with that. Make sure you understand all the basics of all the topics which you need to do. Again, first you should be very fluent with the language, and then you start all these things. I would say if you're pretty persistent with it, not more than 3-4 months, you should be pretty comfortable from knowing a programming language to being very confident of cracking ZCO. I think should not take. It's not hard. It's not a hard exam. It's not that hard an exam. Not more than 3-4 months is what I would say. If you work, say, every day, put in some consistent effort, it should be pretty doable.
Yeah, and we also have some like learning series like which you can follow like for ICO, and like they can.
I think you can just go to CodeShift.com/IOI, I believe. Just see.
Yeah. Yes, team members need to be from the same college when you are forming teams for ICPC. Okay. So Anubhav is asking that instead of being angry after many failed attempts in CodeShift submission, what should be the strategy to cope with that phase? Yeah, I think I've been on both sides of this phase. Like I've been on the side where I prepared a problem and a lot of people had failed submission on that problem. And I've also been on the side where I've attempted a problem a lot of times and I was not able to solve it. So I think the way to cope with that phase, in my opinion, is basically to not penalize yourself that you're not able to solve a problem. I think a lot of times we get stuck in the emotional boundaries that we create for ourselves. That okay, yeah, I should have been able to do this. Why, why am I still stuck here? Why am I not able to get this accepted? Like this should be easy, but rather try to clear your mind and try to focus on the problem and not whether you are being able to get it accepted or not. Obviously, if you're not able to get the problem accepted, there is some bug in your thinking, your logic, or your implementation. So try to focus on that, try to find that, and beyond a point, you can also it's also okay to go and read the tutorial. Reading a tutorial does not mean that you failed. It just means that you have been persistent enough, you've tried a lot of ideas, and next time you see a similar problem, you will definitely get it. So go and read the tutorial, figure out why you you could not get accepted, what was the missing piece, and just try to keep that in mind when you see similar problems ahead. For the next time.
I think it is very important, as Tanuj says, to read the tutorial. I would say read the tutorial even if you get something right, and particularly if you're not able to solve a problem and you read the tutorial and you see that, okay, I was actually thinking along this way, so then why didn't I get it? So then I think it's also important that you go and debug your thinking process, not just debugging the code, also debugging if you're not able to solve a problem itself, right? In that case, you have to go and think, okay, so I had the idea, I knew the prerequisites, I knew it was a DP problem as well. So where did I fail, right? So go and analyze what you made wrong in your thinking process. I think that's something which you can look forward to learning from it when you're stuck in a problem. When you know that you're stuck in a problem, you know there is something wrong in the way you're thinking or something which is wrong. So think of it as just an opportunity to correct your thinking process, and or it's just filling your knowledge gap. Maybe there's a thing which you don't know, which you learn in a few days when the tutorial comes out, or it's something you already knew, but there was something you need to tweak in the way you understand that topic or the way you approach the problem, right? Either way, it's a win-win situation. So don't feel bad about it. Everyone, and don't feel bad if it's a problem which hundreds of people have solved and you're not able to solve it. You always get stuck. Even Kennedy and Peter, I'm sure, get stuck in some problem, even if some others have solved it.
So I think I have a very a very memorable story on this last piece which Arjun said. I remember that so we were in our we were in Kolkata regionals in my second year, and our team came fourth. So till the middle of the regionals, we were rank 1 or rank 2 consistently. And there was this one problem which I think almost everybody else had solved, but we were not able to get it. It was a brute force problem. It was basically a very, very easy brute force. And I think it was the fourth most solved problem. but we were for some reason not able to come up with the reduction. And even then, like we had solved, I think, 2 problems which only we had solved. Like there was at least I think 1 problem which only we had solved, and like we had solved like some of the hardest problems of the contest, but we were not able to solve this problem. And this was the reason why we came 4th, and the top 3 teams went to the world finals. And this was in my 2nd year. Like I very distinctly remember. So I think it happens all the time. Like it happens all the time. So
yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I have a similar story from my ICPC regionals when it wasn't my team. It was the AAA Hyderabad team. They solved 2 of the hardest problems which no one else, even IIT Delhi's team, who went on to be the best team ever in ICPC from India. Both that was 2013 when both Team Pro from IIT Delhi and Turing Machine from AAA Hyderabad came in the world finals. Eventually, they came no one has ever beaten their rank till now. The last 7 years, no one has beaten them.
Yeah.
But the AAA Hyderabad team, they solved 2 of the hardest problems in that region. I think it was Amrita regional. But there was this one very easy problem which till the end of the contest they were again. Like Nadeem was just so frustrated with that.
Yeah. Okay, so there's another question by Siddharth that can I crack IOI if I'm an intermediate coder who is extremely fluent with the language and has 1 year left?
It's a question of what you mean by crack IOI. I mean, if your aim is to get to IOI, I think it is definitely possible. Basically, you need to come within the top 4 of the country, right? It's by no means an easy feat because there are lots of amazing students who are right now putting in hours and hours of effort and who've been putting it for the last couple of years even. There are people who start from 8th and 9th and go on. So you're definitely at a disadvantage if you're starting now, but then you say you're an intermediate coder, which is promising. And I think even an intermediate or even a beginner, I think given 1.5 years, if you are, it again comes down to how much you work, right? There are definitely people. So one name which comes to mind is Akash. So I think he started only in the last 5-6 months, and he went on to IOI in just that time. I mean, definitely that's not the rule. He's like probably an exception. But I think 1 to 1.5 years is not a small amount of time. And if you put in the effort, I think you definitely have a pretty good chance. Yeah, so you can definitely have that as a realistic goal.
Yeah. And I think so, like to help people who are preparing for ICPC and IOI, like we are also planning to start a ICPC and IOI practice series soon, like where we will be giving a contest every Sunday and then like discuss the problems of those contests in the following week. And I would recommend people who are like preparing for these these contests to follow that series. I think it should be really helpful to kind of like have that push to keep the practice going. A lot of people practice like start practicing seriously in the beginning, but then like they lose out the like the motivation to keep going on. So I think like if you are serious, like you should definitely try to follow that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we have a question that like, what if no one in my college is interested in ICPC? Like not even regionals, like other than me. So I think in this case, we've also had, I think like some examples in the past where like people themselves are very good, so they were able to reach the world finals or at least the regionals, like even with 2 other members who were not so interested. Like I know one example from my own college who was able to reach like the regionals, and he also did very well in the regionals with 2 other members who were not interested at all. So yeah, I think I would say keep practicing, and even if you don't make it to the world finals, like if you improve, I think your career would be very positively impacted because like you can have a good rating on Codeforces, CodeChef, and other platforms, and you can easily crack interviews of a lot of companies because most of them are focused around algorithmic problems. So I think that effort would still be very worthwhile your time.
Yeah, I think getting to regionals probably becomes easier in your situation because you don't have competition within your institute. So it's kind of like a cakewalk for you to get into the regionals. But again, as Tanuj said, there are definitely examples where people literally are the only person in their team. The other 2 don't even code much. And I know of at least one example of who's gone to world finals even with that. So yeah, it's not a definitely by no means an easy feat, but it's definitely possible. Yeah.
Okay. So maybe, sorry, like are there some questions on YouTube, Arjun?
No. I was just going to read the next question.
Okay. Yeah, maybe you can take it.
Yeah, so is the series going to be free? Of course, yeah. The IOI and ICPC, we do plan to have it, to keep it free, of course, yes.
Yeah, so we are still like, figuring out the exact details there. Like it might be that like some part is paid, some part is free, but yeah, I mean we do like we do want like some part of it to be free so that like it is something which a lot more people can follow. Yeah, but like I think the details are not finalized yet. Like we'll also have further announcements like by next week. So yeah, like please stay tuned. Okay. So what else? Like does somebody else have more questions? I mean, or maybe we can also quickly discuss.
I'm just looking at YouTube. Let me see if there's something. Yeah, I think there's nothing. But the people are just discussing about IOATC and the fact that there are already people who are preparing. I mean, yes, definitely there are people, a bunch of people who've been preparing for a lot of time. But I don't think you need to be intimidated by that.
Yeah.
You can always, I mean, worst case, even if you don't come in the top 4, you put yourself in a very, very good spot for your ICPC preparation, right?
Yes.
That's, yeah, and then just do it for the fun of it. You don't always have to just have a goal in mind to do it. Just enjoy what you're doing.
Yeah, I think I believe a lot in this, that like you should focus on enjoying the journey, because I think that is what is the most important part, and I think that is what would keep you going. Like most of the times, if you're working for a single goal, like it is possible that you can get exhausted very soon, like you can get burnt out. But if you also have fun along the way doing it, if you also enjoy the journey, I think it can really help you going for a longer time.
Absolutely, yeah. This is something which can't be stressed enough.
Yeah.
There's so many people who get burnt out after a couple of years. Yeah, it's better not to do that.
Yeah.
Even if you get short-term benefits, I think enjoying things and not getting burnt out is definitely worth it. Okay, so Siddhant has another question. Is it true that if we get into IOI, then we can get an admission in a good college? Yeah, so there are a bunch of very good universities which use your IOI or IMO for that matter as a metric in your admission. So the most famous example being MIT. MIT is renowned to accept IOI. I mean, it's not a rule. It's not that if you get into IIT, if you get into IOI, you get to go to MIT. There are a lot many factors, but MIT definitely regards IOI as a good marker that you are fit for MIT in a sense. Your cultural fit and academic fit. There are also different other universities. So one is University of Waterloo. That also has a criteria for this. Similarly, NUS also has National University of Singapore. That also has. And coming to India, in India, CMI has it's a rule that if you go to IOITC, you don't even need to go to IOI. You go to IOITC in your 12th, then you get an automatic admission to CMI. There might be some tweaks of the rule in the last few years, which I'm not sure of, but it's pretty much the case that if you go to IOITC, you will IOITC or the Math Olympiad equivalent, you'll get into CMI. And IIT Delhi also has a weightage in their admission process using the Informatics Olympiad. IIT, maybe you can talk about IIT Hyderabad as well.
Yeah. I think like IIT Hyderabad, I think also at least used to have during my time like a big weightage to people who have been to IOITC and IOI. Like my ICPC teammate for 2 years, like Rajas, like I think he was an example which I knew that he had been to IOITC, and because of that, like he was able to get an interview call at IIT Hyderabad and also an admission. So yeah, like I've known a lot of people. I'm not sure if there has been a rule change in the last couple of years, but I think you should definitely go and check out. Like there used to be a big weightage to IOITC and IOI.
Yeah, and similarly, Amrita also used to have at some point. I'm not sure if they have it, if they've still continuing it. Amrita University also had some weightage. You might want to check that out as well if you're looking at this. Where can I get the question papers of ZCO and INOI? They're not available. So it is available in 2 different places actually. So one is on the IRCS website. I'll give you the links to those, and it's also there on Coacher. where you also have the solutions to most of them.
Yeah, so maybe like Arjun can also give link to the topics. Like this is the link to the IRCS website, but yeah, I think like Arjun can also give links to other resources.
This has most of the ZCO problems. For ZIO, you can look up this website, this page. This has, I think literally all the ZIO, past ZIO problems, and not just answers, solutions to all of them written by wonderful volunteers, people like you. And INOA is there in. Yeah. So I think the last 6-7 years are there in this page.
Yeah. So for ICPC, I think like it's a lot more trickier because yeah, I think ICPC. So like for ICPC, like you should definitely go and look at previous year regionals, which are like previous year Indian regionals. Like they would be available on CodeChef. Like you should also practice for like by looking at previous year European and American regionals. Like I think like you can go on Codeforces Gym. Like you can also watch my session of the morning. I've given some links in that session as well for ICPC. And yeah, I think for more updates, like also please stay tuned for the practice series. Like we'll be discussing a lot more things about the exact ICPC preparation in those practice series. Okay, yeah. So like we have like I think another 10 minutes left. Like maybe we can also quickly talk about the batches that we are starting. So like starting tomorrow, like which is 14th, we are starting new batches. So far, like we've been uploading like courses, special and plus courses on Unacademy, where educators have been discussing different topics. But like starting tomorrow, we are also introducing a more structured learning path. So I mean, like these batches would be useful for like anybody who is a beginner right now, like who's a beginner for specifically for like algorithms and data structures. Like even if you know, say, basic programming skills, I think it would be still worth your time to attend these batches, because like we mainly focus on computational thinking and focusing on solving the problems and developing the kind of thinking like that is required for ICPC and IOI in the initial courses, and then like later on we also discuss many intermediate and advanced topics in these batches. And of course, like I want to stress this enough, like a lot, that I think the most important thing that you gain by say these batches or I mean by Unacademy plus courses in general is the fact that people who are teaching here are people who have done these things themselves. Like people who have been IOI medalists, people who have been ICPC world finalists, like those are the guys who are coming and teaching like these batches and like and these courses. So I mean the kind of tricks, like the kind of knowledge and the kind of like useful resources which they can share based on their experience, I think that is what you gain, like if you subscribe to these. Like maybe Arjun, you also want to say a few things about this.
Yeah, so yeah, definitely whatever you said, and I think the good thing about batches is it gives a structured learning path, right? So right now we have a bunch of courses which are not, it's not obvious which you should do first and then which. It's not linear. Whereas it's, I think, always better to learn topics in a linear way rather than learning multiple things. Better master each topic one by one rather than being a jack of all trades at the beginning of it. Yeah. So I think that's a very good feature of the batches program, and yeah, of course you'll have all the TAs who will be helping you out, not just during the lecture but also throughout. We have a Discord server where they'll be available to help with any of your doubts. Yeah, I think it's going to be pretty nice.
So like you can take a look at this topic wise batch structure. Like these are topics that we plan to cover in the first batch, which starts tomorrow. So we'll start with the absolute basics of introducing programming via flowcharts. So the idea here is that you should be able to develop the computational thinking which is required for ICPC and IOI, and not focus a lot on which language or you're using. Like then we'll have individual courses on C++, Python, and Java to introduce people to the languages. So like in case, say, like you are in college first year and you have a course on Python, like you can also like take a course on Python in this batch so that it aligns with your college schedule. and then we'll go over the basic, intermediate, and advanced topics which we feel are necessary to have a strong foundation and do well in these programming competitions. So, like we'll also have batches, intermediate level batches starting next week. So if you think that you are very comfortable with all the basic topics which are written on this slide, you can consider joining from 21st as well. But again, like if you buy a subscription, then you have access to all the content which is there on Academy. So like there's no constraint that you cannot switch between batches, or like if you subscribe to this batch, you can only follow this particular batch. Like there are no such constraints. So even if you decide to buy a subscription now and say explore some of these things which are already there, it would be absolutely fine to switch a batch after the week and start with an intermediate batch.
Yeah, and for anyone buying a subscription, we would heavily recommend that you do so as well. I mean, because we also have a lot of more advanced kind of floating courses, we call them, on kind of like expert topics. We have courses on string theory, string matching, not string theory, string matching, like DP optimizations, like pretty advanced number theory and things like that. So of course, like at the beginning, you shouldn't be going and looking at them. But once you're at a comfortable enough level, please go. Everything is recorded as well. So you can look back topics covered by others over the last few months, and feel free to utilize as many of those courses as you can.
Yeah, and like even going forward, it's not like we'll be only discussing topics which are there in these batches. Like the batches are for people who are, say, beginners, or like who are intermediate level, but they want a structured path to improve their level and want to focus on like who are comfortable. So for example, like even if I know some basic DP, I think like even then I would want to go and attend the lectures on DP, because like there might be things which I don't know, and like there would be things which I still learn like by looking at courses which I believe that I already know to some extent. But of course, like if you are very, very comfortable in some of the basic things, you can only look at intermediate courses as well. But apart from these batch courses, there will also be these floating courses, like as Arjun mentioned. I think we also intend to cover a lot of intermediate and advanced topics, and even some expert level topics in those floating courses. So all of that content would be available to you if you subscribe.
Yeah, and on the same point, I would actually recommend that even if you're pretty comfortable with the programming language, go look up the flowcharts course, because I think a lot of us, when we learn programming, we kind of skip the flowcharts thinking it's kind of obvious, and we directly go into the syntax and start trying to solve problems after that. But I think a foundation in flowcharts, or rather just the abstract way of thinking and not thinking concretely about how to code, right? Programming is not just about coding. It's also about how to think in that particular aspect. So I think that course is geared towards getting you kind of getting to mold your thinking in that direction. So I think that's a pretty, So as Tanuj was saying, topics which you already know, go and look them up again. So I would strongly recommend that you do that for flowcharts. If you're kind of like a beginner, I think that's going to help you a lot.
Yeah, and I think also like some topics could be there for which you know the name of that topic, but you still don't know everything inside. For example, like the course on square root decomposition. I think a lot of you might have heard about square root decomposition, even seen videos on YouTube, but there are 5 different types of square root decomposition, like which we cover in this course. So all of those different types you might not already know. So I think like it would be still worth at least looking at the classes or browsing through the classes quickly to see that like whether you already know these things, because I mean the topic name can be like it might be hard to judge whether you know everything that we have learned from our experience in a particular topic. Like similarly, I think for segment trees and graph algorithms.
Yeah, definitely. Please, I mean, if you want to look up these things, just go look up the special classes which are already on YouTube. I think some of them go into depth. Almost all of which is being covered in the special classes as well. Yeah. I think that'll also give you a good idea of what you can expect.
Yep. Yeah, I think apart from this, like as I mentioned before, like you also have doubt support, and we like for every course we also have tests and practice problems on CodeChef which you can go and practice. So we do the effort of, so for example, if I take a course on square root decomposition, I do the effort of filtering out the 10 most important problems from a bunch of, say, like 200 problems which are there on CodeChef and giving them to you as practice, so that you get a good exposure to all the different kinds of tricks which are there in that topic. And I think like that is the thing which can help like bring down your journey of going from like 1 star to 5 star from say 2 years to 1 year or half a year. Because if you have exposure to a different types of important problems, then it can be really helpful to speed up that improvement process. So yeah, I think like we are very focused on doing that effort and filtering out the problems which are relevant to the course. And take a look. Yeah, there are also teaching assistants on the CodeChef Discuss platform to help you. Like you can also post doubts on courses which have already occurred in the past, and there'll be TAs to respond to you. Like there's of course Discord groups where you'll be added, like where there'll be more there'll be more live interactions and peer-to-peer learning. So yeah, I think that's probably all we have.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I think it was fun interacting with you, Arjun. Thanks for your time. And like everything else, in case you have any more questions, you can also feel free to reach out to CodeChef, Unacademy, or us personally. And yeah, all the best. And I think again, most important thing, have fun in the journey.
Yeah.
Like this is a beautiful journey, so have fun and appreciate it.
Yeah.
Cool.
See you all. Thanks.
Bye. See ya.
Bye.